Okay, good afternoon to you all. I know it's a hard time because it's just after lunch, so I hope you won't get sleepy. I will do my best, but anyways, you're free to fall asleep if you can control it. I will understand. Okay? As the facilitator just said, we take part of the JELARE project, and we're also taking part of the REGSA project, which is the project that I'm going to present you right now. The REGSA project is, its name is Promoting Renewable Electricity Generation in South America. And the partnership is composed by our friends from Hamburg, Universidad Católica de Bolivia, and Unisur from our friends from Brazil, and of course, Universidad de Chile, which I am representing. We are going to introduce you the project, and we are going also to present some preliminary results we have obtained so far. The project began in basically December 2010. And the material that I'm going to show you is because of course, as always, teamwork, and I'm representing Professor Vagas, our cooperator Manuel Diaz, and one master student, his name is Juan Pablo Kinder. Okay. The objective of the REGSA project is to increase the use of renewable energy in South American countries, and also the establishment of new electricity, as well as the integration of renewable energy in electricity developing grids, which is of great relevance for the socio-economic growth of the South American countries. And we have, of course, some specific projects that we have to deal with it. First is to identify and disseminate the technical and socio-economic potential of the renewable energy in South America, to raise the awareness and support the regional dialogue of region public and private key actors and decision makers about electricity generation in South America, support selected pilot communities in the development and implementation of renewable energy projects. And REGSA also will contribute to integration of Brazil, Chile, and Bolivia, and also other Latin American countries, of course, in the high context of renewable energies. What we expect from the REGSA project, we expect to have a comparative analysis of political and institutional framework, and also about renewable energy infrastructure. We also want to take care of specific best practice cases that we can identify about the integration of renewable energy in South America. And later then we are going to produce some a scenario for the integration of those high potential of renewable energy in South America in our electricity grids. We are also want to work with energy communities in the way of our under the context of developing pilot experiences with energy communities. Other outputs, of course, information events, road tables, capacity building program, and awareness raising and dissemination events. So basically, I'm here to talk to you about the preliminary results of the project. So I will make charge of one of the issues that Chile is leading right now, which is the comparative analysis. And also we have some background in working with renewable energy, electrical energy communities, so I'm going to speak about that issue. Okay, the comparative analysis basically is split in 3 stages. One is, of course, the political and institutional analysis. The other one is the infrastructure availability, technical capacity, socio-economic and climatic conditions of each of the partner countries. And later, the best practice integration. We are looking for some specific projects and some specific experiences that we can take care of and disseminate in other Latin American countries, and of course with our partners from Europe. The comparative analysis going specific, institutional analysis of political and institutional framework, infrastructure, and of course the best practice analysis. And the original scope of the project is comprised by the 3 partner countries in South America, which is the Chile, Bolivia, and Brazil. And of course, we are also working with our friends from Germany. But given that we were in charge of that issue, we were a little bit more ambitious, and we introduced other South American countries in the comparative analysis. So it's a huge work. It's a huge work, and we're working so far. So I'm going to show you some results we have been working with. First of all, a little bit of history. Maybe it is right up here. The electric market's evolution and how we have been changing from the centralized energy institutional framework from the deregulated infrastructure and the regulated sector of electricity. And in that sense, it's important to state that Chile was a pioneer country on that issue. In 1982, it was the deregulation of the electrical power sector in Chile. And later then, in the 90s, all the other countries took part of this issue, and the regulation began in the 90s. For example, we have some examples here: the European Union, Argentina, Colombia, Bolivia, Brazil in 1996, and later then other countries. And of course, there have been some crises like the famous California crisis that happened in 2000. So in that sense, there were some specific market designs and some specific institutional framework dedicated to that deregulation process. And that's what we're talking about. So concerning the market design, you know, we wrote the scope of the project, so we had been searching for specific information about it. And here we have all the South American countries, and of course we also including Germany. And the way the market model has been implemented is basically for all the Latin American countries, it's a pool which is composed by the generators, and with the existence of financial bilateral contracts. So in that change, a generator can establish a contract with a consumer, but it's under the financial framework. It's not a physical contract. The only one who took more or less a different position was Colombia, that they already have a pool, but they have a power exchange. The other Latin American countries have basically centralized dispatch following marginal cost assignments. And Germany has a pool also with a power exchange, but in Germany there is existence of physical bilateral contract, as different with the South American countries. We have financial bilateral contracts. The way the energy price or the spot energy price is fixed is basically, as I told you, marginal cost, which is economic centralized dispatch. In Colombia, of course, is the power exchange price, which is defined in an hourly basis, and also, as Germany, there's a power exchange price. There are two countries that still manage the centralized model, the original one, which is Paraguay and Venezuela. There are a lot of institutions. I'm not going to get in detail here, but we have made a mapping of the involved institutions, all the South American countries that deal with the power sector. Here we have all the institutions dedicated to the policy framework definition, the regulator, the entity who's in charge of the supervision, the system operator, the entity who's in charge of the planning of the power sector, environmental authorities, entities dedicated to renewable energy promotion, entities dedicated to conflict solving. And we did all the mapping of all those institutions. As you may see, basically all those issues have been covered by different institutions. In some cases, some specific institutions take charge of different or two of those tasks, or maybe three. It depends on each country. But what is important to state here is that all those issues have been taken care of by different institutions. So after 20 years, we are able to say that basically, given the change that we introduced in our power sector, there are appear new institutions that are taking charge of a specific task. The legal framework is just basically the laws that are dedicated and define the way the power sector is organized, and I'm just taking care of the specific laws. And of course, by the midst of the 2000s, it began the specific laws dedicated to renewable energy. So in Latin America, in South America, being specific, about the midst of the 2000s, some specific laws appear regarding renewable energy issues and renewable energy integration and so on. In that sense, some renewable energy integration mechanisms have been created for the different countries, and we have here the integration mechanisms that we have identified so far for the different Latin American, South American countries. In that sense, we have, for example, feed-in tariff schemes for Argentina, Ecuador, Uruguay. Of course, Germany works with a feed-in tariff scheme. It is important to state here that in Uruguay, the law establishes that feed-in tariff integration mechanism requires the participation of a local actor on the development of the technology, which is a key issue if we are talking about feed-in tariff. There are also competitive bidding processes like we are doing in Brazil, basically for wind, biomass, and mini hydro, and RPS as is being done in Chile and Colombia. There are also renewable energy integration goals that the different countries have defined so far. For example, Argentina has now 80% of energy consumption of renewable energy by 2017, and there are some other goals. For example, Chile establishes that 10% of the energy of contracts established in contracts, we have to achieve that goal by 2024.